Welcome to Utopia Sync. Today we're going to look at installing Utopia in the Microsoft environment. We will be using the Kubernetes service that they have. And before we get started, there is a small checklist that we need to get done. Let's have a look at that and we'll get going. So the Azure checklist, there's always a couple things that need to get going. If you don't have anything on the list, please refer to some of our other videos or get in contact with our support team and they'll be gladly help you out with these, with the items that you need. You'll need the Azure CLI installed. On your local machine, you'll need kubectl and helm installed. And then you'll need to have the Utopia Sync helm charts and the values file for that helm charts all set up for your Azure environments. Luckily, Azure comes with volume and load balancer capabilities, so there's a bit of a less setup using them. But let's have a look at that values file before we get started. Here I've got my helm chart set up here. This is where I have unpacked it, and then this is the values file here. And the important thing to know is that Azure has their own volume setup. So we just need to tell it that we need a volume and it will set it up. So here we're not installing any volumes and we are assigning a storage class of default. There's quite a few that Azure has. So if you don't need default, you can use something else. But for this example, we're just going to use default. And it will itself spin up the volumes for you. Then the only other thing to remember at the end, we're going to come back to this, but we'll use these names later for the DNS setup. So Azure, we've logged in. I've created a resource group for the product. I'm just going to call it Utopia Sync Demo. And now we need to spin up their Kubernetes cluster. So let's get going. First, we're going to go to Kubernetes services and create a new Kubernetes cluster. Perfect. In our subscription, I'm going to choose our Utopia Sync Demo resource group that I created. For now, I'm just going to use the dev tests and I'm going to call this Utopia Demo 1. There we go. The rest, that can all stay sort of standard. That's no problem. All right, node pools. So here, this is where you can change the size that you want. So I'm going to just choose a standard B. That sounds fine. B1, we recommend 8 gig node at least, and then I'm going to manually scale this, so you can scale this as little or as more than you want. For now, I'm just going to have a single node. That's fine. And then we're going to update that. There we go. All right, that looks good. Leave the rest as default. Networking. The only thing you need to change here is keep an eye out for the network policy. So our Helm chart has all the internal Kubernetes networking sort of sorted out, so you don't actually need to worry too much about that. So we're just going to have none there. Okay, this one I'm just going to leave default. So this is for monitoring stuff. Prometheus is another deployment that will scrape your Kubernetes cluster for all the metrics that it needs. And then Grafana is a visualization software for the metrics. So you can see graph, CPU usage, RAM, that type of stuff. I'm just going to use it as the default for now. And next. That's fine. This is a name of a new resource group that gets created, which is basically the networking side of Kubernetes. And if you need to do any tags, you can do that there. All right. Azure is going to just validate our setup quickly. Shouldn't take too long. And there we go. Check everything. Everything is fine. And let's create it. All right. I will be back shortly when everything has been set up. Here we go. Deployment's in process. There we go. Awesome. And we're back. Deployment has been successful. Let's have a look over here. Let's go have a look at this resource. Here we go. Here's our Kubernetes cluster. You can see important sort of namespaces, the workloads, services. These are all the standard ones, so it's a clean, fresh Kubernetes cluster. No storage attached to it. And now we're ready to install Utopia. So Microsoft plays well with Microsoft, so let's use PowerShell. All right, now this is where you need your Azure CLI installed for your PowerShell so that you can actually access your account. So I have done that. Let's log in. Taking here. There we go. Yeah, log in. And now it'll give us a list of the subscriptions that we have. Perfect. We're going to use the sandbox. So I'm just going to take that. It's going to show you how to navigate through the CLI to see the resources that you need, just to double check that you are connecting to the right thing. So I'm going to get a list of the resource groups within Utopia Sandbox subscription. Here we go. There's the new resource group that got connected to, got built by Azure. So we'll see here, if I go to my resource groups, here it is here. And it will actually contain a lot of, it's just a networking section for the Kubernetes cluster itself. So here's our Kubernetes cluster in our Azure. Okay, so now we've got that. I'm going to look just to double check for all the resources that are within Utopia Sync demo. And here we go, Utopia demo 1, and that is our Kubernetes cluster. So we now have the resource group and the name, and what we're going to do now is I am going to ask Azure to get the credentials for my Kubernetes. So what this command does is Azure will now get the Kubernetes credentials and automatically insert them into my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, there we go. All right. Now everything should be up and running. We can check that by kubectl config get context. And here we go. There's our Utopia demo 1. It is now connected, so that's perfect. What we're going to do now is navigate to our helm charts. So the star is the current one, so that's perfect. So here's our helm chart. Yeah, and I'm going to navigate there. Here we go. And now all we need to do is install Utopia. So I'm going to do helm install Utopia from this file. And now it's going to read the values file and start installing Utopia. Let's check this out here. Can wait for it to get going. There we go, sorted, and it is installed. So now, if we navigate to our kube cluster here, we can see it's uploaded all the deployments. We've got the services. here's our load balancer, and our load balancer has been assigned external IP, which is perfect. So this load balancer will control all the communications in and out of the actual kube cluster to Utopia itself. And it has also now created our volumes for the databases that we need. So now we just need to sit back and wait for all the deployments to fire up. Cool. And I'll chat to you shortly. In the meantime, let's check out the services. So the only thing to change now is, at the moment, there's a slight issue with the load balancer running in Azure that's missing an annotation, which has been documented on their side. So to add it in manually, we just navigate to the load balancer. We go to the YAML file and we copy the annotation that's required. And under annotations here, metadata annotations, we are going to add that in. There we go. And this is a path to help go towards their load balancer health check that they have installed. So we're going to add that in, save that, confirm. This is a Azure only extra step. There we go. Now that's updated. Let's just go back and check the workloads. Nearly. There we go. Okay, everything is up and running. So the only thing to do now is to sort out the DNS stuff so we can actually have access to it. So if we pull up the YAML file, the values file, here, all of these endpoints that we need to create A records for the load balancer. So I'll go get the load balancer IP. I'm going to open up my Cloudflare and I'm just going to edit these. I was testing these earlier, so I'm just going to overwrite them. When you create these from scratch, sometimes they can take a bit of time to propagate, but generally they are fairly quick. And last one. Perfect. Okay, now we can actually go to the app. So this is the UI. If you go to the values file, you can see here Utopia UI is azure.com. Let's go have a look. And here we go. It is all up and running. Perfect. Don't forget that if you have whitelisting on like your SendGrid SMTP account or something along those lines, you might need to whitelist all the nodes that are active. So if you've created a pool of 3 or 4 nodes, you will need to add all of those IPs through to be whitelisted so that the email can work. Okay, looks like everything's set up. Pretty straightforward process. If you do have any problems, please contact us. The team will be more than happy to help. And please make sure to check the notes for that accompany this. Check the notes for all the syntax that was used in the video. If you've got any other questions, please get in touch. Awesome. Happy syncing.